All right, today we're going to dig into a story that kind of lives in the shadows. One of those chilling events that, if you look at the official records, it's like it never even happened. But for the people who lived through it, oh, it was very, very real.
So, think about that for a second. It's a really unsettling idea, right? We're all taught to trust those alerts on our screens. I mean, they're supposed to be a lifeline. But we're about to dive into one that seemed like it was designed to do the exact opposite.
So, this whole thing kicks off with a signal, something that just broke all the rules. It was like a ghost in the machine. It just popped up out of nowhere, and then, poof, it was gone. And look, we have a specific time and place for this. This isn't some campfire story. We're talking about one specific night, October 14th, 1997, across a few counties in northern Ohio, where every single TV channel just went black.
Okay, so let's break down the timeline here. The broadcast itself, it was only on for about 9 minutes, but the warning it gave, that covered a super specific 40-minute window. And that right there creates this incredible, almost claustrophobic sense of urgency, you know?
And right from the get-go, everything about this broadcast just felt off. You know how every emergency alert has that horrible screeching sound and some kind of official logo? Well, this had none of that. No jarring tone, no government seal, just a black screen. It felt both anonymous and somehow completely authoritative at the same time.
Okay, so that brings us to the message itself. This is the heart of the whole thing. This wasn't a warning about a tornado or some kind of chemical spill. No. The threat it was talking about was something else entirely, and it was all delivered in this calm, steady, and just absolutely terrifying voice.
It starts with 4 words that just make you freeze. This is not a test. But without any of the usual stuff around it, those words just kind of hang there, and they're way more menacing. The voice wasn't shouting, it was just stating a fact.
And right here is where the advice it gives takes a really weird turn. It's not telling you to get in the basement or tune to a different station. It's giving you this very personal, very isolating instruction.
And then comes this line. This is the part that just completely weaponizes the idea of trust. See, the danger it's describing isn't some monster at the door. It's something that looks and sounds just right. It's a warning that the thing that seems safest is actually the threat. So, of course, people start freaking out. They start calling 911, the local news stations, and the answers they got back just made everything even weirder. Nobody, not the cops, not the news, not the weather service, knew anything about it. This voice was just coming from nowhere. But you see, that creepy message on the TV, that was just the warm-up act. For some people, what came next was a very real, very immediate threat. 17. In that short 40-minute window, dispatchers got 17 different 911 calls, and they were all reporting the exact same thing the broadcast had just warned about. So this wasn't just mass panic. Something was actually happening out there. And think about how this would feel. The knocking they described wasn't some frantic banging. No, it was slow, methodical, the same across every single call. It was patient, like it knew it could wait all night. And this is where the story goes from being just creepy to something truly horrifying. Because multiple callers reported the same impossible detail. The voice on the other side of their door, it sounded exactly like them. One of the 911 calls actually captured this whispered account. Just listen to this. I could hear myself breathing on the other side of the door. I mean, can you even imagine? It's not just your voice. It's the sound of your own life, your own breath, coming from somewhere it should not be. So the sun comes up the next morning. The immediate terror is gone, but the mystery, well, it's just getting started. What investigators found that day didn't give any answers. It just brought up even more disturbing questions. 6. That's how many houses the police found with their front doors just standing wide open. Not ticked in, not broken off the hinges, just open. But the really weird part was what they didn't find. There were no signs of a break-in. Nothing was stolen, nothing was broken or out of place. It was as if someone on the inside had just calmly opened the door.
And then there's this last, completely bizarre detail. Inside every one of those houses, a single chair had been pulled right up to the front door, facing it, almost like someone had been sitting there, waiting for the knock.
So what happens to a story like this, right? A story with no real evidence, no official explanation. Well, it splinters. It becomes a ghost story, a quiet little rule buried in a manual, a local legend that just refuses to die.
And this right here really shows you the two different versions of the story. The official record says, hey, no deaths, no missing persons, nothing catastrophic happened. But the unofficial story, the one the neighbors tell, that's a much darker tale. It's about houses where the lights just never came on again.
At the end of the day, this broadcast is a complete phantom. It doesn't exist in any official files. The FCC, the people who are supposed to track everything on the airwaves, they have zero record of it. It's like it was never there.
And yet, 2 years later, in 1999, this very specific line quietly gets added to some emergency protocol manuals. There's no footnote, no explanation for why it's there, just this chilling little rule, a quiet admission that, yeah, a warning like this is possible, and you'd better listen to it.
Because really, that's the only question left that truly matters. We might never know where the broadcast came from, but the real terror is the knock. Whatever was on the other side of that door, it knew your name, it had your voice, and it was just waiting for you to let it in. So what do you think it was?